That's my best Scorpion I could do, honestly, because welcome to the, I guess first I should say, I'm Terry Kirk with GSR, and welcome to the first official GSR Rage View, where I want to talk about Mortal Kombat 10 and all of the things I loved. I apologize, the few things I loved and every fucking thing about this game that I fucking hated. Okay, because I wrote a review, and I've played about 50 hours worth of the game, and I can tell you, it's a fantastic fighting title, but it's not a Mortal Kombat game, and anybody who tells you it is a Mortal Kombat game is fucking brain dead. And I have a huge, just a, I don't know, I guess you could say a whopper of a list of fucking things that make me so goddamn angry about Mortal Kombat that it's unreal. Let's talk about the first thing, the really strange choice in the roster and this weird need to not bring back so many fucking characters from years past. Like, where the, you know, I'm a Cabal player, so maybe I'm biased, maybe not, maybe fuck you if that's what you think. But what about, you know, Jade, who wasn't even fucking mentioned in the story? Or what about Noob or Smoke? I'm surprised they even got away with being able to not bring those back. Weren't they? It was like the main fucking people used in the goddamn, like, whatever the fuck tournament that thing is called, that the super nerds do. What's that thing called? The World Fighting Tournament? I don't know. It's like esports, but for people that suck more. Whatever. No. No, my point, is, I lost it. Let me get back. No, there's my point. My point is, they made so many changes to the roster and they introduced so many new characters that it makes absolutely no sense, considering the fact that they had a pool of like dozens, I don't even know how many exactly over the years, I would say at least 3 or 4 more dozen characters that they could have pulled from. That's absolutely unacceptable. You know what else is unacceptable about the roster? That we're getting Predator, Jason Voorhees, and Tremor as DLC characters. Tanya's part of that season pass too. We all remember that. She got revealed in Ruin with everybody else. That bitch is in the story mode with a full fleshed out, you heard me correctly, fucking moveset that you can actually just up and fucking you fight her like 2 or 3 times, I think, during the story mode. You know who else is in the story mode with a completely fleshed out fighting skill set that you now can actually, I think the PC players have actually hacked into it and you can play as them using this weird little modification? Rain, Baraka, and Sindel. All 3 of them are fought in the story mode, and all 3 of them are in the coding of the game and actually have, you know, like an actual defined moveset. I don't know if anybody's found that they have 3 different variations yet, but you better believe that somebody, you know, was kind of like, oh, well, what if they give them to us as free DLC and that'll be so fantastic, right? Wrong. I fucking doubt, because they're making us pay for easy fatalities, which, let me tell you, I'm going to get to that number in a little fucking bit, so bear with me, that they're actually going to give us free characters. Maybe 1, not 3, and if you think that, you're just fucking high. I'm sorry, I have to say. What else is bothering me? What else is bothering me about the game? Oh, yeah. So we got Brutalities, which, let's be totally honest, they're ripped off Ultras from fucking Killer Instinct for the Xbox One, only they have a lot more gore. And by a lot more gore, I mean a little bit of more gore. I played Mortal Kombat 9, and people say 10 has a hell of a lot more gore. Okay, go play Killing Floor or watch video footage for Killing Floor 2, and then tell me Mortal Kombat 10 has a lot more gore. Otherwise, shut the fuck up. Okay, but they got rid of Babalities and they added Brutalities. So my thought process is that for the next game, because, you know, the big Teenage Angst story, I'll get to that one too. The story mode sucks balls too. The Teenage Angst story, apparently we only get 2. We get Fatalities, and we get Babalities in Mortal Kombat 9 from 2011, and then we get Brutalities and Fatalities for Mortal Kombat 10. So Mortal Kombat 11, or whatever the fuck they're going to call it, or, you know, Deadly Alliance, or maybe they'll call it Deadly Armageddon, and they'll merge those 2 fucking piece of shit games from, like, 2004 together. we'll probably get fatalities and friendships, but maybe they'll listen to people like me and decide that we could fucking have more than two. Maybe we get brutalities, fatalities, fucking babalities, and friendships, and then maybe we get something called hate ships, and I don't know, you just, everybody becomes like a fucking cannibal and eats everybody else. Who gives a shit? Oh, speaking of the roster, sorry, let me back up in my thought track here. Each fighter has 3 character variations, right? Sounded really cool. I thought it was really cool. And then I decided to play certain character variations. I'm like I said, I'm a big Cabal player, so him not being in the game was a real big disappointment for me. But then I thought to myself, well, I don't want to be a bitch and play Scorpion like every bitch does. So I'm gonna be slightly less of a bitch and play Sub-Zero. Maybe slightly more of a bitch depending on where you stand on the matter. But I started playing as the Grandmaster because, in my opinion, there are 3 variations. Of the 3 variations, there's distinctly a best one of the 3. And let me tell you, Sub-Zero's Grandmaster is distinctly the best. Because all 3 have, like, all 3 have the Ice Ball, all 3 have the Slide. All 3 have the iconic moves of each character. But then, there's slight variations, like the Grandmaster can create the ice clones, and then there's another one, there's one that can create, like, ice shields, and one that can create weapons. And let me tell you, like, people said the variation, and I watched a bunch of fucking YouTube videos about the variation this and that, and how it's going to improve and change gameplay, and let me tell you, first and foremost, to be totally honest, no, it fucking doesn't. It doesn't change combos. It doesn't change variations that much. Changing variation, if I play as Ermac 1 or Ermac A and then Ermac B and Ermac C, I'm not going to pull off something with Ermac A that I can't do with B. I'm just going to pull off the same shit, but slightly varied way that gives me the same result, but with a different filler move in between. Like, I'm going to pull off move A, move B, and then special move C, and then move D. And then for the fucking other one, I'll pull off A, B, special move C, and D. Only those special moves are the ones specific to the variation, and that's a crock of shit. It's like giving us choice without the illusion of choice, something they do all the time. Speaking of which, something else we can get really pissed off about Mortal Kombat. Maybe if we got more fucking angry, they wouldn't have fucked us the way they did. There's less stages. I don't understand why. I don't know why they thought that there only needed to be like 12 fucking stages in the game, or 13 or whatever, and one of them looks like some weird goddamn Avengers fucking train. Looks like I'm on that weird fucking ship from the first Avengers movie, or I'm in Tony fucking Stark's holograph room training. I don't fucking get it. It's stupid. But then they decided to yank the interactables directly out of Injustice. I mean, straight out of Injustice. But they're less prevalent. There's less of them in each stage. There are no stage transitions, probably because there's 12 fucking stages and they're not interconnected or anything, so it's fucking stupid. There's no stage destruction at all, but hey, at least out of the 13 stages, there's a stage brutality. Fatalities, fuck that. No, you can just do the brutality, which requires you to do something fucking stupid beforehand, and then you take the log and you're like, poof, through your chest, and it sticks, and then like they cry, or I don't know, something happens, but they're dead. Anyway, I digress. The microtransactions make me so mad that I can't even formulate it with words. Because NetherRealm's reasoning was that fatalities were too difficult to pull off, and that they've known for years that there were players that played Mortal Kombat that couldn't pull off fatalities. If you have a player that can't pull off some of the fatalities, like, I don't know, for instance, there's one with, like, Goro in the new game that's back, down, down, up. If you can't pull that off, especially knowing that you can press the fucking buttons at a snail pace, then you don't need to be doing fatalities. Period. There's already a little bitchy subsection, like, not section, but like a subsection, or I don't even, subheader, or fucking sub-douchebag group that, like, bitches because people use fatalities online anyway, so you can't use a fatality without having anybody dashboard out of the matches or fucking quit out of the matches on you anyway. I mean, hell, you can't even beat people too badly or they quit out of them fucking matches. But I don't see why it was a problem. It was their way of charging a microtransaction. I'm honestly surprised they didn't blame somebody else for it the way every other fucking game development company blames somebody else for it. Speaking of microtransactions, let's take a second to talk about the fucking crypt. The crypt in Mortal Kombat X was kind of cool. It had a couple jump scares, and it was where you unlocked all your shit for the game. You know, concept art, extra fatalities, fucking a lot more stage fucking art and concept art, and then it's where you unlocked pretty much everything. Like, it was just but it was basically a menu that you roamed around in. For some reason in Mortal Kombat X they decided to flesh it out into some stupid fucking first-person adventure game that I don't give a fuck about. Number one, the one thing I want to know about, the one thing they could have done to make it semi-fucking interesting is show me who I'm playing as. Who is the motherfucker that's walking through this crypt and finding Raiden's staff and Kung Lao's hat and that kind of shit I get, like Scorpion's sword? Like, okay, maybe something happened to these people. Or they just kind of left there, like Kotal Khan's sword. You find it like in a pile of mush and you're like, oh, he just squished somebody and left it there. But then you find fucking Reptile's claw. What the fuck is that? Somebody cut off his fucking hand? Like, apparently, I don't know, maybe they were gonna go with the story and they abandoned it halfway through, or it's supposed to be like Bloodborne or Dark Souls and you just kind of pick up it along the way, except it fucking sucks completely, and I'd rather do anything else than spend hours wandering in the crypt. Which, let me tell you, if you don't want to wander around in the crypt for a couple hours at a time, getting lost and wondering where the you know, basically, it's kind of like, imagine your most hate-fueled rage you've ever been in when somebody makes you mad in your house, and you're just walking around, because every time you go to the crypt, you appear in the beginning, and there's no way to go back to where you are, and the crypt's big and obnoxious. So basically, you end up getting into the crypt, and you're already fucking angry because you know you got 20,000 coins, and that's going to unlock 2 fucking containers that you have left. And then you end up walking around, and you're so fucking angry. It's like you're in a hate-fueled rage when you're in a fight with your significant other, and you just start forgetting where the fuck you live at. And you open shit up, and you're like, that is a closet. Where the fuck do I live? That's what it's like. But if you don't want to do that, $19.99 unlocks the whole crypt. Sounds like a great thing. Even though it's really fucking expensive and you guys suck for doing it, NetherRealms, that's called a microtransaction, you fuckers! At the heart of all of this... Oh, and by the way, I should probably mention for all those people that give a shit, the game actually looks pretty, as you can probably see from whatever the fuck I decided to run in the background of this. I believe it's just some mishmash of fucking recordings of story mode and fatality trainer and just some matches. Just overall shit I recorded because I love Mortal Kombat X. I love it. But I hate it. And I'll tell you why. Mortal Kombat X is undeserving of the title of Mortal Kombat for all of those reasons. Yeah, the name's there. We got the fatalities. The gore is more brutal than before. At least that's what some people say. I really don't see it. What I see is them taking Injustice and reskinning it as Mortal Kombat, but whatever. The brutalities took the place of babalities because, you know, we can't have both. The roster got beefed up with some new additions, with some shitty teenage angsty characters that make the fucking goddamn entire fucking 3-hour-long story mode feel like an episode of the fucking real world, with Takeda and Cassie Cage, and then Jackie Briggs, and whatever the Kung the fuck Jin, who looks like in his weird flashback scene where they show his previous life, it looks like he is that fucking dude out of the new Thief game that sucks. You got the variations. But for all of that stuff, for all of the new additions, some of the new characters are actually interesting, but for all of the new additions, the roster feels smaller than its predecessor. You get less... We, not even you, it's us. I bought this fucking game and the season pass, and I'm pissed off, and so should you be. We get less stages and interactable environments than in any previous fighting title from NetherRealms. This is me harking back to fucking Injustice again. This game is Injustice 2. We don't have stage transitions or fatalities. We have fucking microtransactions. Isn't that something they always promised they would never do? Probably not. Maybe we should all decide to buy the fucking blue steel piece of shit looking Sub-Zero to fund the next fucking tournament, because apparently they can't afford to fund it out of their fucking pockets. Give me a goddamn break on that one. The list goes on, the list goes on, the list goes on. And at the core of it, you have a really, really sound and familiar and enjoyable fighting game. But I ask you again and again and again and again, do the sums of the fucking parts equal this whole that we have built up for Mortal Kombat? Does it equal what I envision as Mortal Kombat? The answer to you, plain and simple, is no. You have a fighting title. Just like I talked about, which I don't even know if I published yet, but I promise I talked about it. Mortal Kombat, or blah, I'm talking about Mortal Kombat X, and it's pissing me off. Battlefield Hardline. An alright shooting game that did not deserve to be called Battlefield. It should have just been fucking called Hardline. For all I care, Mortal Kombat X, or 10, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, should have just been called X. Or I don't know, maybe it should have been like DX in the 90s and called Suck It, Bitch, We Took Your Money. Should have fleshed it out with another 10 or 15 characters of its own and pushed it out like some weird abomination of Clay Fighter and fucking Mortal Kombat or something else. But it shouldn't have the Mortal Kombat brand on it, period. It's not a Mortal Kombat game. It is something else masquerading as a Mortal Kombat game, and people are just eating it up. I see everywhere the game's got a 9.25 and the game's got this and the game's got that. Well, the fact of the matter is, the reason I think my review, I'll be the first one to tell you, I don't like scores. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10 for the sheer fact that when it has a heritage, as much as Mortal Kombat has a heritage, it needs to live up to it. And it doesn't live up to anything. It shits on everything that we've come to expect out of a Mortal Kombat game, besides gratuitous violence and gore, which isn't even as much as if they could have taken it, especially when you see something like I'm telling you guys, go check out Killing Floor 2 and look at all the points of decay they've added on these bodies. It's fucking crazy. Like, the gore in Mortal Kombat is fucking laughable. When I slice somebody in half, they look like a fucking anatomy dummy 90% of the time. The couple of okay fatalities is when they rip and the bits are jagged and everything like that. Otherwise, it looks like fucking Play-Doh, globs of fucking pudding, and anatomy dummies. In closing, as I calm myself down, Mortal Kombat 10 sucks. Point blank, to the point. It is a terrible Mortal Kombat game and a great fighting game. But if you've liked what you've heard here, trust me, I'll be back. Whether or not you liked it or not, even if you didn't like it, I'm going to be back with more, because trust me, there are so many things I want to talk about now. Battlefield Hardline is a big one because I've been playing the shit out of it, and let me tell you, Battlefield Hardline sucks just because it has the Battlefield name on it. There's a lot of other reasons, but when you put the Battlefield name on it, it's going to suck so much worse than it should because of the comparison, and I fucking hate comparisons, but you gotta make them because they're there. Click the subscribe button below, and you guys will catch me next week for another edition of Rage View with Terri from GSR. And y'all have a good fucking day.